Hopefulness 2.0, November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. I believe it's the 5th anyway. Ah, damn it. I'm trying to plug this in and knocking stuff over and shit and whatnot. And that is a bunch of cream puffs with no cream in them. Come on, full blood. I made cream puffs recently. I made cream recently. Hold on, I'm gonna get that up. The last thing that had milk in it, I'm gonna put some milk in it. But I screwed up when I made the pastry cream, and I forgot to put the cornstarch in at the right time. Oh man, I'm gonna turn the heater down. Actually, I'm gonna turn the fan all the way up too. But such is life, you know. And I probably could have cooked the pastry cream a little longer, just to kind of get that activated, get the cornstarch to be activated and everything. But I didn't want to overcook it and then get it to the point where it might be burned and curdled and all that. I forgot to put salt on these because I like to put salt on the top after I egg wash, but they're still good on their own. They're better, significantly better with the egg wash on top. And they're so fluffy and airy, like, it's so good and custardy. I mean, like, there's like 5 eggs in it. Which is what helps give them their rise. I was thinking of that analogy that people like to use when it comes to voting. I can throw it in the mail because I live in a first world state that says, hey, let's actually make sure you have a chance to vote instead of saying, hey, let's find a way so people can't vote. But there's that analogy that talks about how, like, voting is like riding on a bus. And it's really apropos, I think. I think it's a really great analogy. Like, when you get on the bus and then you get off at whatever stop, sure, you're not getting exactly where you wanted to go, but you're getting close, okay? The bus is taking you wherever you're going. You might arrive in Los Angeles, but maybe you got to go somewhere else to get to South LA or go to Long Beach or whatever it is. Maybe you got to get off and ride another bus. But if you don't vote, then you're just sitting in the same place, really. And I used to be one of those people who didn't vote because, like, I didn't like where everything was going and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I understand it because it's like I don't want to vote for any of these things because it wasn't taking me where I wanted to go. But I didn't understand the idea that voting gets you closer to where you want to go. It is not a race, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, effectively, in a different analogy, and that's sort of crossing wires and making things more convoluted. But it makes more sense now because of that bus analogy. Now, if you don't want to ride the bus, that's okay. But you can't bitch about where the bus is going. What you could do is start going towards the destination you want You could walk. Or maybe you could get enough money somehow to get a scooter, or maybe get like a moped or something, or an electric bike or something, or get a normal bike, a normal push bike. Or maybe you're fortunate enough to get enough money to drive a car yourself, or maybe you're even fortunate enough to get your own bus with enough people who are like you to then drive to the destination that you want. But for that analogy to be apropos, that would mean that you are running for that thing, for that office, or you're the one dumping that money into that proposition, or what have you. If you don't like where it's going, and you don't like the options that you have, the only other option you have is just to start going towards that thing that you want. Well, that was a big one. It's not ideal either way. It isn't. Because it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be a perfect system. And yeah, it sucks when certain things happen and you're like, fuck, I did all this work and effort and stuff and it still didn't go through and whatnot. And I get it. It's just like anything else. When you put a lot of effort into something and it fails, the last thing you want is for the thing that you put a lot of effort into to fail. But if you put in no effort, then you can't fail. But then life is just going to happen to you anyway. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason, I can't remember the rest of it, that the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot, I think is what it is. I mean, that was an act of terrorism against, political stuff and, politics. But what you could do instead is try to vote if you can. I know that at some places they're trying to make it harder. And that means that it's even more difficult. Like for me, I get to fill this out and literally just walk right down the street. Right next to the library, there is a ballot drop box. Not even a 5-minute walk from my house. Now I got ADD and depression and I'm on my PTO right now, and so I tend to be putting shit off until the last fucking minute, which I shouldn't. But it's also giving me time to think about these things too, to make a better understanding or a better informed opinion of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So there's a touch of the silver lining to my procrastination, but I only got so long anyway. God damn, these things are fucking good. And they're definitely better right out the oven. They're not bad either way though. I mean, it's basically little bread balls. I even made brioche. Cooked that yesterday. That's pretty good. I still have some more brioche in the fridge that needs to be cooked up. Because the recipe that I have is for 2 loaves, and I made both of them just because why not? It wasn't an easy thing to do. I used the mixer, but I had to turn it off pretty frequently because it's getting hot. I didn't want to burn the engine out. Oh man, I need some more milk. In a way, these are better than cookies because they're not super sweet. There's I think there's a little bit of sugar in them. I can't remember. And the sugar is largely just to help, to help with browning, contribute to browning. But like on the top, that's from the egg wash. Voting is like a bus, in most cases. Try to vote local. Try to understand what you're voting for. And I would say personally, I mean, obviously, you know, you vote for what you vote for. I would say try to vote for stuff that helps people, that helps the average person, and also helps people who are impoverished, because those are the people who need the most help. And unless you're literally out there spending hours and hours and hours of your day doing that, you're barely even making a dent. And unless you're literally part of that situation. But that's how those people get paid too, is through our taxes. They get paid through these various propositions and stuff. And we bring in more money through taxes, whether it be personal taxes or sales tax or, you know, taxing corporations and billionaires, etc. Taxes are how the individual gets to help pay for something bigger that affects more people. It's just like if you were trying to, if you wanted your own, if you were like, I don't want anybody fixing my part of the street. Well, you're not the only one who uses that part of the street. So it makes more sense for everybody in the area who might be using that street to have your part of the street fixed as well. And so they all chip in a little bit. And money just happens to be the easiest way to do it. And that's why a lot of things, when it comes to taxes or when it comes to voting, a lot of it has to do with taxes in some way or another. Whether increasing it or using it in some way, what have you. I mean, and I've said it before, you know, in an ideal world, if 80% of all of my income was taxed, but it was all effectively used in a way to make sure that every single person got everything they needed, where they wouldn't need to work to have a house over their head, you know, a roof over their head, or, you know, food and all the basic necessities of a modern society. I'd be down for it. I know that there are a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want to do that because I feel like taxes are being used poorly. And I get that. And that's the that's the bus analogy again. It's like, you may not like exactly how it's going. And you may not even like what happens after you get where you're going, if you get on that bus. I get that. It's a gamble. But because there are no guarantees in life, other than death and taxes, and unless you're a billionaire and then it's just death, you got to take some kind of risk. And we've seen what happens when certain risks are taken and certain risks aren't taken. However you want to look at it. So, if you can vote early, if you can vote by mail, do them. If the only day you're allowed to vote is on voting day, go do it. Even if you can't, if somebody says you can't leave because you got to work, you're legally allowed to do that. It's federal law. Get out and vote. Especially because this may be the last time you have that ability to. Have fun.